But I'm in such a loopy, punch-drunk mood because I watched Hannity last night about the Comey indictment. When I saw that Comey got indicted, I was like, I want to go see what Sean says, because to be clear, if you've been following Russiagate, Trump colluding with Russia.
It was made up by these sick people.
There has been no greater source on the saga, the gaslighting of the American people, the double dealing by the intel community, the Adam Schiffs of the world who, listen, we'll talk about him another time, because Adam Schiff is, walking, talking garbage.
I agree with that.
Okay, but we'll get there. Hannity has had, the Jim Jordans of the world. Devin Nunes was on there a lot back in the day. Guys that were front and center in untangling the effort to frame Donald Trump and showing just how they had weaponized the justice system against him. So I really wanted to see how they would react to Comey actually getting charged, which, according to the president, is really just the first of what could be many people getting charged going forward, for their role in either weaponizing the justice system against Trump or lying under oath or misleading the American people. I don't know the particulars, but I know last night was something that needed to happen. And it needed to happen for a very specific reason. So I was happy to see Sean and some of his guests get their day in the sun, if only because we need accountability in this country. And I've said this to people before. Politics are so toxic right now that people on either side, but a lot of it really is on the left, and I'm not saying it to point a finger because I don't care. I don't want to alienate liberals. I need the audience. I need all the help I can get on this show. But I always say to you, when there's a double standard, there's no standard. Like, something I freaked out a lot about is when they wanted to throw Trump and all his friends in jail because they said the 2020 election was stolen. And they were like, they're undermining faith in democracy. You can't say the election is stolen. And I was like, all right, fine if you feel that way. But if that's the case, you have to arrest every single Democrat that's in these montages.
As I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
That's Hillary Clinton, the Democratic standard bearer. That montage, which if you listen to the show every day, you've heard 75 times, probably 7,500 times. I'm sitting here on 5 montages that are 10 minutes long of random Democrats being like, they stole it. Trump's not legitimate. Letitia James, when she was running for attorney general, was like, I'm going to get this illegitimate president. Okay, they said it was a coup. They said it was everything. And I said at the time, I'm fine with anybody mad about Trump's 2020 claims, because if you don't have the proof, okay, do I think the 2020 election was legitimate? I actually don't. There's not an inch in my body that thinks it was legitimate. But I don't have the proof, so I try to be responsible and knock it on the air and say, oh, stolen. So I don't know that. Okay, but the Democrats didn't know 2016 was stolen. So they were mad about 2020, but they weren't mad about 2016. And here's the thing about 2016. The Democrats were reacting to a rumor that they had started.
That's just how white folks will do you.
Okay, and that's where Comey comes into play. I've always said if you're going to get mad at one thing, you got to get mad at the other. Okay, James Comey, and we now know this through declassified documents related to Crossfire Hurricane and everything in between, James Comey was briefed on the fact that Hillary Clinton and her campaign were starting a counter-narrative to her private email scandal. It was dragging her down in the summer of 2016, so they literally approached the FBI with their own made-up story. Said, hey, we're not coming here as a political campaign. We're just concerned Americans. They said that with a straight face. Straight clown stuff. We're not here because we're running against Trump. We're just here because we're concerned about our republic. And we want you to know, we heard that there's some back channel communication between Trump and the Alpha Bank. And it sounds like Russia's in bed with Trump. They want him to win. They're going to hack the DNC emails. All kinds of things are going on. They handed the document to the FBI. And then you know what they did? They ran out to the media and said, whoa, you didn't hear this from us, but apparently the FBI is looking into some type of backdoor communication between Trump and Russia. And the media responded to an FBI investigation that the Clinton campaign had made up out of whole cloth, but James Comey and the FBI decided to run with it anyway.
Bingo.
And he knew every inch of every speech at the 92nd Street Y, every defiant Facebook post or picture of a tree or seashell post on a beach, every time he went on MSNBC and said our threats to our democracy, we're scared of Donald Trump and what could be happening with Vladimir Putin, as a sitting director of the FBI and then an outgoing director of the FBI, he said all of that knowing it was completely made up.
Garbage like you just makes me sick.
So you understand, they hamstrung 2.5 years of Trump's presidency investigating their own lie. They knew there wasn't collusion. The whole point of the Mueller probe was that the process was the punishment. They knew they weren't going to find collusion because they knew they made up the story. But they were trying to kill him in a death through a 1,000-cut scenario of one anonymous bombshell after another. One leak, there's another leak. Oh, CNN says the walls are closing in.
People aren't buying at CNN, you dumb bastards.
But you see how this undermined the legitimacy of our elections, the things the Democrats supposedly stand for. Wow, democracy's on the ballot. They almost destroyed democracy in 2016. Trump returned the favor in 2020. So the Democrats ran as, we're the people who protect democracy. You know, the people who protect democracy are now getting indicted for their efforts to undermine it. And what is the immediate reaction to Comey? Again, back to the double standard thing. They go, oh, you're weaponizing the justice system against your political enemies. That's what the Democrats say. That's everywhere in media today. Everywhere. Every channel, every website, every newspaper. Oh, this guy's going after his political enemies. What the hell is the world coming to? This is some tit-pot dictator stuff right here. But were any of those Democrats saying anything when the Biden administration weaponized the justice system against Donald Trump? Of course not. Okay, Donald Trump, they go, oh, how could you arrest Comey? 2 charges of perjury. Guys, Donald Trump got arrested. They raided his house. Melania is still pissed because the Secret Service went through her underwear drawer. And to be clear, I'm not mad at Melania. I'm also not mad at the Secret Service, the FBI, whoever went through her underwear drawer. I get it. You let me loose in there, I'm going to stick around for a little while. I'm sorry. I'm just, you know.
Don't you have any respect for yourself?
No, I'm sleep deprived. I was sick all week. But stick with me. Okay, they arrested Trump. We had never indicted a president once in the history of the country. They indicted him 91 times. They SWAT raided his house with long guns. They mugshotted the guy. The guy got shot at. States tried to take him off the ballot. Don't talk to me about protecting democracy. Because the Democrats really did, when it comes to protecting democracy, it was like someone knocking on your door and being like, hey, we have an arson problem in this neighborhood. So rather than letting the arsonist burn down your house, we wouldn't want to risk that. So we'll just go ahead and burn it down ourselves. And you go, wait a minute, that sounds like you're the arsonist. Well, you don't say. And that's what's went on here. But Comey is the first step towards accountability, because up until now, it is really, really rare for a guy of James Comey's former stature to be prosecuted, which is why they do this stuff. Okay? The Democrats crossed that threshold by prosecuting Trump. We had never indicted a president in the 247-year history of the country. And because we never indicted people who operate at that level of government, at the tail end of the 2020 election, when the Hunter Biden laptop story surfaced, intelligence officials went right out there and arrogantly killed it, knowing how illegal it was, knowing the level of election interference it constituted, because our own director of national intelligence had told us Hunter Biden's laptop was real. We knew that dating back 6 years ago when the IRS whistleblowers first brought it to light. Gary Shapley, who was the head of our international tax evasion team, was like, yeah, by the way, the Bidens sure are funneling a lot of money to their grandkids from like Moscow and China. What's up with that? And they were like, shut up. You don't arrest the vice president. Like, all right, I guess not. But then the Democrats went out and arrested Trump, and that kind of changed the game now, didn't it? Yeah, it did. But you understand, okay, Intel officials during the 2020 election interfered in the election. Hunter Biden's living, breathing business partners both testified. Devin Archer, Tony Bobolinsky, both testified. Oh, yeah, the laptop's real. We were selling influence with the guy. Joe was the brand who's getting a 10% kickback. They testified. Like they would go to jail if they were lying for perjury, like James Comey might for perjury. That's what he's being charged with. Same thing they would have been charged with if they were lying. So you understand, Intel officials arrogantly killed that story under the guise of, what are you going to do about it? 51 former and current Intel officials signed a letter that was drafted by the Biden campaign. You talk about the Justice Department and the Intel community colluding against their enemies. They literally colluded against the sitting president. Like, by definition, I think you'd call it treason. Okay, but none of them were worried about getting charged. Okay, now the ball game has changed a little bit because they went out and charged Donald Trump, and he doesn't want to take it anymore. And the truth is, I don't like the idea of things like this undermining faith in the justice system. But as I've said from the get-go, when there's a double standard, there's none. And the only way to bring us back to some type of singular standard is to hold the people accountable who started us down that road. And there's no bigger person, literally, because he's 6'7", than James Comey. So, you know, he might have thought it was a joke to upend the 2016 election, try to get Trump to impeach himself and get fired by firing Robert Mueller during a collusion probe that he knew was made up. But in the end, the last laugh on this one belongs to Donald Trump. I get in the elevator to come up to the studio today. I'm watching ICE agents shoot pellet balls at kids that are attacking ICE. I know, I'm not supposed to laugh at that. I'm not. Okay? But I want to say something that no one in conservative media is saying, because nobody appreciates nuance anymore. And everybody is just so quick to be like, well, you blame the other side. You blame the entire other side. This is the Democrats' fault. And you just talk about it as if every single person who's ever pulled a Democrat voting lever feels the way the bad people do. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, there's a lot of Democrats celebrated Charlie Kirk's death. Awful, disgusting, gross. But it doesn't mean every Democrat in the country feels that way. Too many of them do. Way too many of them do. But that story is so parallel to the attacks on ICE agents because it's based on a mischaracterization of what they represent. Meaning people on the left said Charlie Kirk was calling for violence against trans people and minorities, everything else. He wasn't. They don't have proof of that. Nobody has a video. Not a single solitary person has a video of Charlie Kirk calling for violence against anyone.
He knows what he's talking about.
Nobody has one. If you have one, call into the show. Post it on my Twitter @JimmyFallon. Okay? You don't have it. And nobody accusing him of doing that has it. Did you ever notice that? Like when Ilhan Omar goes on TV, she's like, oh, he was a disgusting man, his views. Did you ever notice that they don't stop and play a clip of Charlie Kirk doing the thing she said?
I think he's got a point.
Yeah, and the point is they're all full of. Let me give you an example of how TV works really fast and we'll move on. When you watch my show tomorrow night, if you do, and I hope you do, Fox News Saturday night, when you watch the opening monologues, about 20 minutes long, I'm telling jokes about things that happened this week. Every time I set up a joke about a thing that happened, I show you the video of it happening.
Oh, wow.
Why is that a wow? Because it tells you everything you need to know about the attacks on the left. Whenever they're telling you that the Republicans stand for this or the Republicans do that, they're not using our words. They're using their repurposing of our words.
Democrats are so full of crap.
They got nothing on Charlie Kirk, and they got nothing on ICE being the Gestapo. Okay, ICE is enforcing federal law. Think about that. The Democrats are fine with you attacking ICE for enforcing federal law, yet they're the first people to say we need more laws whenever somebody shoots somebody. What happened after the horrific ICE attack 2 days ago? First guy on TV was Chuck Schumer. He's like, yeah, this is bad. We need more gun laws.
Chuck Schumer is a clown.
We need more gun laws. Can we enforce those laws? Or are they like the other laws that you're saying we should be allowed to attack the people in uniform enforcing them? That's the point. It's psychotic. Okay, and you understand the attacks on ICE are a misrepresentation of what they stand for. The Democrats have said the same thing. I played you this yesterday about them calling ICE the Gestapo. Listen to this quick montage, clip 17.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
We are not used to our government censoring, chilling speech, disappearing people.
This is Gestapo-like behavior, where plainclothes officers wearing masks are terrorizing immigrants.
That is offensive, and it is not true.
Not even close to true. Okay, ICE agents wear masks because if the drug cartels learn their identity, they get doxxed, they'll attack their houses and their family. It happens quite frequently. And in Mexico, they kill entire police forces. It's psychotic. It's horrific. I'm not happy about it. That's a fact. That's why they cover their faces. But they are wearing ICE uniforms. They are pulling up in ICE vans, and they're not disappearing people. They're deporting people like Barack Obama did. Barack Obama deported more people than any president in history. Deporter in chief. Give it a Google. Go look it up. So you understand it's a little bit of a double standard because it's obviously more about the politics than the people. They don't care about the migrants. They don't care about anybody. Okay? They absolutely, positively don't care about this issue. Barack Obama deported more people than any president in history. That is a fact. Were the Democrats screaming for due process? No. Were they telling people to get out in the street and throw rocks at ICE? No. It's because they want to prey on their most reliable voting bloc, which has traditionally been low information, liberal white kids. That is their target demo. Okay? Get these kids all ginned up. The kids who've contributed nothing to society, but they have rich parents and they go to fancy colleges. Okay, the white privilege kids who can actually afford to be trans. Like, that's a true thing they don't tell you. Like, if you're transgender, that is like white privilege. Do you know 99.4% of trans people are white? Like, that's a thing. Because you got to have rich parents. Can you imagine? Like, I grew up, like, you know, pretty lower middle class. I was so nervous to ask for a new pair of roller skates in 7th grade. Can you imagine how you'd have to feel to ask your parents for a new... Hey, I know money's tight. We're a little behind on the heating bill. But I was thinking of getting a set of boobs. You know how rich you have to be to throw that one at your parents and not expect to get laughed out of the kitchen? Like crazy, but stick with me, okay? Democrats prey on those kids that want to believe they're contributing something to the world by taking these empathetic sides. I'm saving the planet from climate change. Never mind that we have no data on climate change, other than it's wrong every time they give it to us. In the 70s, we were going to freeze. In the 80s, we were going to melt. In the 90s, they were like, it's just climate change. The weather just changes. So unpredictable. Yeah, it always has been. That's why it's called the weather. The only consistent message on climate change, as you know, is...
Please give us money.
Give us some money. That's it. It's going to melt. Any minute now, it's going to melt.
Please give us money.
Actually, well, you know how the Mayans screwed up the calendar about the apocalypse? We screwed up the melting thing. We were holding the thermometer upside down. We're actually freezing.
Please give us money.
We didn't melt. We didn't freeze. Then they were like, well, actually, it's just climate change. The weather is changing, but...
We want more money. We want more money.
And that's what they did. Money. We want more money. Who do you get money from? Rich white kids who are like, Mom... I want $10,000 or the world's going to end. You're a climate terrorist. You hate brown people. Give me the money. And that's what they do. It's crazy. It's what a lot of this stuff runs on. That's who responds to the anti-ICE stuff. It's either broke people who are paid protesters or rich white kids who didn't get hit by their parents. And that's the point I wanted to make. Everybody in conservative media, everybody, because partisan, politics have become so partisan that it really is just a team sport. Republicans are like, well, blame Democrats. Democrats are like, well, blame Republicans. But it's bigger than that, okay? If people are attacking ICE agents, guys, I mean this. This is absolutely, positively, 100% a parenting problem.
He's a lousy dad, but he's right.
I understand the Democrats are lying. I understand the Democrats are misrepresenting the views of ICE, just like Democrats did with Charlie Kirk. But if you think this kind of violence is appropriate, your parents failed you because they were supposed to teach you right from wrong. They were supposed to give you perspective. And yeah, maybe they were supposed to spank you a little bit so you knew how to behave, so you didn't fall for things as stupid as speech is violence. Okay, nobody my age thinks speech is violence because they get hit by their parents. You knew what violence was. Violence was what happened when you did something terrible. So you know what you stopped doing? Terrible things, because you didn't want to face any more violence.
Bingo, man, bingo.
But these kids are literally out there being like, hey, I threw a rock and hit an ICE agent in the face. He can't just smack me in the head. Yeah, he can. Actually, he can. Life has consequences. And as much as we want to be like, oh, the Democrats, it's absolutely a big part of it. But if the kids are out there committing that kind of violence, it's a failure of parenting. And nobody wants to hold on to that one. Everybody in the modern era likes to outsource their problems to the other political party. Your car won't start. Friggin' Trump! This thing was running fine till January 6th. That's what happened. Wait, what? What are you talking about, January? But that's what they do. Okay, and they do it on the Republican side just the same. Yeah, these freaking liberals. And that liberals, there's a lot of things they do and I don't like. Okay, but there's a lot of good liberal people listening to the show right now that, like a lot of the things the party stands for. Okay, but don't necessarily like these squeaky wheels that are getting the most grease. Like no self-respecting person goes, yeah, Jasmine Crockett speaks for me. When I see Ilhan Omar, she's my spirit animal, as you call a person. AOC. She's so sharp. I mean, she's my worldview.
AOC is a dope.
And that's the biggest problem we have right now with these attacks on ICE. You got a bunch of dirtbag kids. A lot of them are white kids, rich kids, who weren't beat by their parents. And I'm not calling for violence. I'm just calling for accountability. Okay, and what happens in the aftermath of something like this is you understand politics. I'll tell you where Fox is different than MSNBC. Okay. A lot of you guys go, well, Fox, conservative, must just there for the Republican Party at any hour of the day.
Wrong.
Do you know how many times Trump criticizes Fox News because we don't actually agree on maybe something he does, or some pundit says something he doesn't think is a good idea, or somebody has on a politician like Rand Paul that Trump is mad at, or Thomas Massey or something. Like, it happens all the time. MSNBC and CNN look at the news as how can we make this help the Democratic Party, or how can we minimize the damage done to the Democratic Party? That's why they were the last people to admit that Charlie Kirk's shooter was a liberal. Same thing with the shooting on the ICE agents. The reason, even after investigators went, this was a targeted attack on ICE agents. There were anti-ICE messages. The guy who did the shooting was watching videos of Charlie Kirk's assassination. He was using an app that would tell him where ICE agents were located so he could shoot at them. And the media was still like, yeah, we're working on it. We don't really have any leads yet. Not really sure what would have motivated a guy like this. I mean, really, that's why nobody watches them anymore.
Journalism in this country is dead and buried.
And they're not even pretending to be objective. That's what people got mad at Jimmy Kimmel for. We didn't get mad at him because he told a joke. Who cares? Tell your joke. Nobody cares. They got mad because he misrepresented the political views of Charlie Kirk's shooter, which pissed a lot of people off because Charlie Kirk basically got shot because the Democrats have been misrepresenting his views. So the Democrats are responsible for creating the environment where he got shot, and then they're responsible for the guy who shot him, but they get on TV and go, we have no idea. Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel actually said it, MAGA. Well, we hit a new low over the weekend. MAGA spent the weekend trying to pretend or do anything they could to convince people that Charlie Kirk shooter wasn't one of them. Buddy, that sure sounds like you're saying it was one of us. Okay, because he was. They're trying to protect the Democratic Party. Fox News, and I mean this is why we went in the ratings, is trying to protect America. That's what we're trying to protect. We do all these events where we meet people, all these stand-up shows, book signings, punchlines and Patriots, me and Hannity, all the fun stuff. Okay, the Patriot Awards, all that jazz. But our party is America. It's a lot of times where we have to nuke a politician in a particular day's news cycle because we don't agree with something. But you won't see us going, I don't know, because this could affect the midterms. Or I don't know, maybe that'll change the way people think. Democrats are children. They're prisoners of the moment. They can't think beyond the current day's news cycle because they want to win it at any and all costs. Do you understand? In their worldview, Charlie Kirk's shooter being a liberal is a massive loss because they go, people are going to think less of our party. But we're just over here literally going, God, guy got killed. His wife, his kids, these poor people. Oh, my God. And yes, it's disgusting the Democrats did it. We're mad. We called them out for it 100%. But we spent the week mourning Charlie Kirk. The Democrats spent the week mourning Jimmy Kimmel, a guy who makes $16 million a year and got fired for lying about Charlie Kirk. That's the difference. It's the wrong set of priorities, man. And you wind up living life through that lens because your parents failed you. They didn't tell you right from wrong, some kind of personal accountability. And that's a real thing. And because they can't think beyond the moment, they can't go, as bad as the story is for us today, there is a tomorrow and a next day. Okay, they get in trouble. Like, think about the Biden administration. Let me give you a great example really quick. In the summer of 2021, okay? It's the Afghan troop withdrawal. Joe Biden is president.
I don't remember that ever happening.
But it did. He was president. He probably doesn't remember. Okay, but the Afghan troop withdrawal, which was the biggest foreign policy embarrassment in the last probably 50 years of this country, ends with the government collapsing even after Biden assured us it wouldn't, ends with the Afghan army running for it along with their president, ends with us stranding 10,000 of our allies behind enemy lines and 12 service members getting killed at the Abbey Gate. And the Democrats are so concerned at how bad this looks for them, they decide to go on TV and have Joe Biden declare it the most successful airlift in American history. Straight clown stuff. But you're like, but if we get that into the bloodstream, enough liberals will hold on to it. It'll fortify the loss against the Republicans in the perception department. We can claim they're misrepresenting what really happened and we'll mitigate the damage to the party. Hey, how about the damage to the people? You know what I'm saying? But because they couldn't think beyond that day, they crushed a lot of their tomorrows. Because Biden was above water in the polls going into August of 2021. Do you know how it ended? Exactly. And that's where we are on Comey getting indicted. Okay, the Democrats thought the idea of indicting Trump was the greatest thing in the world because they couldn't think ahead to a possible tomorrow where the indictments could go the other way.